hence week 3, I'm going to be making cottage pie this week. Just a note, don't get mixed up with shepherd's pie and cottage pie. Shepherd's pie, you've probably noticed, shepherd's or whatever means lamb, and cottage pie is traditionally minced beef with a layer of mashed potato on top. The equipment you will need: one chopping board, one clean area, chef's knife, peeler, a frying pan, a saucepan, a fish slice, an oven preset at 180 degrees centigrade. So to start off with, I would advise that you get your potatoes on the go first. So I'm going to get all of my potatoes out onto the board. Now you'll notice that I've probably got about 300-400 grams there. There's a good reason for that, and that is because I'm only using 250 grams of my minced beef today. So I'm only making it for 2 people. So therefore, I'm thinking whatever, 1 person, 2 person, that will probably be enough potato. Okay, so I'm going to start by peeling my potatoes as quick as I can. If you've got any bruising or any marks on the potato, they can either be peeled out or you can cut them out with your knife at a later point. Okay, so just moving all the skin to one side. So I'm going to show you just with 1 potato what to do. So we're going to cut it using our bridge method into 2, get it onto a flat surface, bridge method again into 2, turn it 90 degrees, cut it again. You're trying to get them so they are equal size potato, and you could go for small, because at the end of the day, the smaller they are, as long as they're equal size, that will enable the time to be cooked much quicker, and whatever, you'll get a better mashed potato. Okay, so repeat the process with your other 3 potatoes. Right, okay, so once your potatoes are peeled, what you're going to do is you're going to place them into a saucepan. Now, if you've pre-boiled your water, you're not going to be sticking them straight into your saucepan because the water will splash back at you, so you're going to use a slotted spoon to lower it down. Otherwise, what you'll end up with is a hob full of starch all over your hob. So I'm just lowering them into the water. This is actually cold water. Obviously the level of the water will go up, and it just needs to be covering it. Okay, so the next stage, you're going to put your potatoes onto your hob on your maximum temperature with a lid on, which will be a bit of conduction and convection going on. Okay, and you're going to put them on until it comes to the boil. Once it's come to the boil, you can simmer for 20 minutes. Okay, so the next stage, you're going to chop your onion. So take the top off your onion to give it a flat surface. Don't mess around trying to take layers off your onion. Use your bridge method, cut straight through the root. You're able to see all those lovely layers. Take off first the brown peel, and the next layer, get your thumb under there and take it off all in one go, like so. All of this can go into the compost. So we're using the onion for mainly flavour. So depending on whether you've got small children or not, is depending on how small that you cut your onion. If you've got young children, I would suggest trying to cut it as finely as you can, because they're a bit faddy with texture when they're young. And if you've got adults, older children, not so much, so you can get away with bigger chunks. Okay, so the next stage, you're going to be frying your onion. So just spraying it with a bit of Fry Light 1 cal spray, and just turn it on to a low heat to start off with, so that we don't burn our onions straight away. Onions into the pan, and we're just frying them gently so that they're light golden brown. Just turning my heat up a little bit now. I'm feeling a bit more confident with it. Okay, so I'm using a non-stick pan. Turn my heat up a little bit more. So you're frying them until they're golden, and so they've changed colour, so they're light brown, and also the texture has changed, so it's a lot softer. You'll notice you can see my potatoes on in the background. Still waiting for that to come up to the boil. If the pan starts spitting at you, don't be afraid to turn it down. You're the one that's in control of the dials. Or if you're feeling like it's overwhelming and you can't get to the dials for whatever reason, maybe something's starting to boil over, don't be afraid to do that, which takes the heat off straight away by putting it onto a hob that's not had any heat. Okay, so as soon as your onions have started to go golden brown, you're going to add your meat. So I've opened the packaging already. I'm using lean mincemeat, and you'll notice that it's only got 5% fat, which means that it's a lot healthier for you. If you see the word lean, it's a lot healthier for you. I'm just taking that paper off, and that's going to go straight into the bin to prevent bacterial contamination. Okay, so we're going to fry this mince, and you can't progress to any stage when you're doing a mince dish until all of the elements of the mince have turned brown. So there should be no pink bits in there whatsoever. Okay, so once your mince is fried, I'm going to teach you a really quick trick in how to make a bit of a gravy. So I'm going to just turn off the heat temporarily, and I'm going to add approximately, I would say, 200 millilitres of boiling hot water. And I'm going to dissolve that. So I've got my beef stock. I'm going to do something quite strange now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a tablespoon of plain flour. I'm going to sprinkle the tablespoon of plain flour over my mince. Okay, so if you remember that plain flour comes from wheat, and wheat contains starch. Starch is the element that's actually going to thicken up. We've already got fat in there, not only from the meat, but also from the oil that we used with the onion earlier. Just make sure that is all stirred in. It's looking pretty dry at the moment. So I'm going to add my 200 mils of stock. I'm going to put it back onto the heat, and I'm going to make sure that I stir continually, because it's going to release the starch granules and the starch granules at 82 degrees will start to burst and become a nice thick gravy sauce. You can see already I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. So that's to put a little bit of a gravy in there. So I'm going to turn off the heat once I've got my lower level of my cottage pie. I've got my mince and my onions and my gravy in there. I'm going to be putting that into my oven proof dish. Make sure all my sauce is out of there. So flatten it down so it's all the same level. Okay, and the next stage is we're waiting for the mashed potato. Okay, so the next stage, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking whether the potatoes are done or not. So using a sharp knife, you're going to place your knife into the potato. If it slides off, there's a good chance it's done. If not, and it's sticking, then I would suggest you probably give it another 5 minutes before testing. Okay, so this is looking done. However, I'm just going to make sure it is actually done by getting a small piece of potato out, putting it onto my chopping board. Just turn the pan handle to the side so you can see, and then using a fork, see if that starts to mash when you've got it on the board, and you can see quite clearly it has actually mashed down. So we're ready now to drain our potatoes, which I'll show you in the next step. So now that we know it's done, we're going to turn our pan off and get ready for draining. So now I've turned it off, I'm going to use 2 hands to hold the handle, and I've got a colander in my sink, which you'll notice, and I've made sure that there's no soap suds underneath it. Okay, so I'm going to pour it into my colander. Pour it slowly so that it doesn't splash up at you. Then give it a little shake, be careful. And then pour the potatoes back into the saucepan. You are now ready for mashing your potatoes. So the next stage, you've got your potatoes that are drained into a saucepan. You're going to need to add 25 grams of margarine. This is approximately about 1 tablespoon. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of milk. You're going to season it with some salt and some pepper. And then you're going to use your potato masher to mash it down so that you can't see any margarine, any milk, and that it's soft, light and fluffy. Okay, so the next stage, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be spooning your potato on to your minced beef and onion. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to flatten it down on the back of your spoon just to start off with. You can give it a little bit of help and assistance. Okay, so in a GCSE exam, they would either expect you to pipe on your potato, or you could make it pretty by, for example, using the back of a fork to make tram lines. This also flattens it out a bit more. It also, when you put it in the oven, makes it really crispy. So, if you are using dried parsley, you can put that on now at this stage, or in your sprinkle of cheese. But if you are using fresh parsley, do not put that straight on now, otherwise you're going to end up with it just going dried and shriveled up in the oven. Okay, so by doing this technique, I'm going to end up with a crispy finish. Okay, so you're going to place your cottage pie into your oven, 180 degrees, for approximately 20 to 30 minutes. That's a fan oven.